Colossus is the most advanced lineup optimizer in daily fantasy sports. Lock and exclude players. Adjust player exposure to reduce risk of injury or poor performance. Customize individual projections or upload your own projections. Generate hundreds of optimal lineups in seconds. Name and save the best lineups. Create winning lineups for the top sites like DraftKings and FanDuel for free at dailyfantasycafe.com.
Hello and welcome to the FanDuel Punch-Out. I'm Big Italy 42 here talking about tonight's slate. Got a nice slate of action, of course, and a lot of good starting pitchers on the mound. Almost all the best aces in all of baseball going tonight. We've got Chris Sale up at the top, $12,800 against Minnesota. He has had some issues against Minnesota at times in the past, but he has a strikeout rate of 38.5% over the past 30 days. The Twins actually have their third highest team strikeout rate of almost 24% this season over the past 30 days. So a lot of things going in his favor tonight. He's going to be a popular play and for good reason. Madison Bumgarner, who is having a phenomenal month as well, really turned it on over the past 30 days. You look at what his numbers have been over the past 30 days. He has not allowed a single home run. He has a strikeout rate of 37.9%, 15.2% swing and strike rate. I mean, everything going in his favor as well. So take your pick with those two top guys. Both guys in phenomenal spots. Both guys with massive strikeout upside as well. And then you got Cy Greinke. I almost Freudian slip there, but definitely one of the guys in consideration. Greinke's been phenomenal this year. You look at just what he's done. I mean, he's just continuously, consistently good, giving you 6+ innings, giving you 6 to 8 strikeouts. I mean, this is what this guy does. He's been the most consistent pitcher in all of baseball. $12,000 for him, facing off against Bumgarner there. So obviously not the strikeout upside of the other two guys, but probably just as good of, if not a better floor than both of those two guys. So take your pick with any of those top three. Obviously Chris Sale, the most likely to get the win of those three, but certainly the other two with tons of merit as well. Same goes for Johnny Cueto. I like him as a GPP option tonight, though. $10,900 facing off against Detroit, who we know has a ton of upside, but he also just mowed down this team. Last time he faced them, complete game at Kansas City, 8 strikeouts, 4 hits. Obviously, that was his Kauffman debut, but 10-9, I think he's a great tournament option. Garrett Cole's another guy you can consider in your cash games here. $10,000 against Milwaukee. Light hitting offense now. I mean, you've got half this lineup gone since the All-Star break. Ryan Braun hitting well, but not a guy you're going to really be targeting against Garrett Cole. Outside of that, you got Chris Davis, who is home run or bust. Really not a whole lot in this offense. Jonathan Lucroy's been very inconsistent as well. So for me, I think he's a great safe play. I don't think he has nearly the upside of these top guys, but I think he definitely has a great floor. In other options, I wish I could recommend Justin Verlander. He's been in great form. His only real hiccup over the past month is against this Kansas City team. They're striking out the least of any team in baseball still, less than 15% over the past month. Just really hard for me to encourage a guy like that in that matchup. And then cheap guys. Chris Tillman against Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay's been awful against right-handed pitching. He was pretty good in his last start against them. 7 innings, 4 Ks, just 1 earned run. $6,800. I think he's the best of the cheap guys, but not a guy you feel great about. This is a night where I'll, for the most part, be paying up for pitching outside of GPPs, and even in GPPs. I mean, there's just so many good options at the top. I don't want to be the guy with the starting pitcher who gets 8 points while you've got 4 to 5 other guys going 15+. Catcher options. All the Yankees got a huge park bump tonight. Or, I'm sorry, not a park bump, a price bump. A nice park factor, too, though, but not really any better than Yankee Stadium. $4,300 for Brian McCann. You absolutely love him. You don't love the price, though. Significantly more than any other player catcher, so he's in play. Tournament option here, Evan Gattis. I like him at $3,000, like a lot of these Astros bets. And if you're looking at your one more GPP guy for you, Russell Martin, if he's in the lineup tonight against Cody Anderson. Russell Martin, we mentioned him last week. He was struggling, said he was going to break out. Then he goes and homers in 2 straight games against Detroit. So Russell Martin at $2,800, big-time upside there. Then you got some cash game plays down the bottom. Sal Perez owns Justin Verlander, 18 for 38 in his career, $2,300 for him. John Jaso, men's salary against Chris Tillman, certainly looking his way as well. And I'll throw out one more guy for you with upside in GPPs. I don't think he's a bad cash game option either. Stephen Vogt has now homered and has 3 hits in each of his last 2 games. Obviously, those games were in Arizona. Now going back home to O.co, but definitely a guy I'll be giving a look to tonight as well. First base options. In case you didn't notice, FanDuel does not have the Coors Field game for tonight, only the early one in the all-day slate. So that's why you're not hearing anything about any of these Coors guys on this podcast here. First base options, Edwin Encarnacion, still a man possessed right now. 2 more hits last night despite the team struggling. $5,300 against a guy who does not miss bats, Cody Anderson, barely an 11% strikeout rate. So you got to love him. I love Joey Votto, as I do love all the Reds against Dan Herron. My disdain for Dan Herron is well documented. But to put in perspective, Dan Herron, 2.81 home runs per 9 over the past 30 days. Top 5 in most home runs allowed per 9 in all of baseball among qualified pitchers. So definitely some fireworks could be happening at Wrigley Field tonight. On the other side of that, Anthony Rizzo against Anthony DeSclafani. He has some big-time upside. DeSclafani has struggled with left-handed batters this season, 342 WOBA. He hasn't struggled with Anthony Rizzo, who's 0 for 11 off him, but that's a small sample size. I'll still side with Rizzo here in some GPPs. Other first base options, you've got Jose Abreu against the rookie Tyler Duffy. He's not down to $3,600. I love Ryan Zimmerman tonight against the lefty and Gonzalez for the Cardinals. $3,400 for him, coming off another big game. He's now homered in 4 of his last 7 games, so I love him at 34. Carlos Santana against flyball prone Marco Estrada, like him. He's finally starting to come around. And then as you're looking for cheaper guys, a couple guys that kind of stand out there. You got Albert Pujols at only $3,300. I'm loving the Mets once again against Aaron Harang, who didn't strike out a single batter against his team last time he faced him just over a week ago. So $3,200 for him. And then my last cheap guys, I'll be mentioning Pedro Alvarez at $2,600. Jimmy Nelson, as we know, terrible against left-handed batters, 375 WOBA allowed. Pedro, big-time upside for you there. And that's going to really be it. I mean, you got Prince Fielder at $2,800. He's an okay cash option, but I'd rather pay up for a guy with some more upside because he's just not hitting for power right now. Second base options, really, really hard to look past Jose Altuve at $3,900. Especially coming off of 7 hits in his last 2 games. He gets a weak lefty in Elias tonight, so I love him. He's got to be your top play there. Other options, Jason Kipnis at 36 against Estrada. Estrada's been good against left-handed batters, but Kipnis has been good against everyone. Rookie Odor, $3,600, nice tournament play against Cashner, who's another pitcher who struggles with lefties. 383 WOBA out there, so even worse. Your BVP specialist, Brian Dozier, he's done very well against Chris Sale in his career. Not a guy I'll be playing much of, but if you're making multiple tournament lineups, throw him in one because he has had some success there. Chris Coughlin, not a guy that I love. I think he'll have a decent amount of ownership tonight, but he is a lefty against DeSclafani who has struggled there. Anthony Rendon, anytime he gets a lefty, he's in play for me at $3,200. Brandon Phillips, obligatory mention of another Reds bat. I like in that stack there. Then you're looking cheap. My favorite play in the night at second base, price considered, Neil Walker, $2,600 against Jimmy Nelson. Much, much better against lefties than righties, as we know. So this is a guy that I'm definitely looking at that ridiculously cheap price tag here. And then 2 more guys to consider. Or, I'm sorry, 1 more guy. Colton Wong. Absolute minimum salary. Facing off against a righty and Ross, who has had some issues with lefties. I definitely like him. If you have to punt, he's by far the best option, if you ask me, down at the bottom. Third base, Josh Donaldson. Been the best hitter in all of baseball consistently this season. $6,000. You got to pay a pretty price tag for him. If you're paying for one of those top pitchers, you're not getting Josh Donaldson in your lineup tonight. So if you got some cheap guys you like, get him in there. I do want some exposure, but no way that's happening in cash games. Chris Bryant, $3,800. Another guy that continues to hit the ball well. You got to like his spot tonight against DeSclafani. No way I'm paying $3,700 for Chase Headley. He's in a fine matchup as a lefty in this matchup against Rick Porcello, who, as we know, just god-awful against lefties. But this is just it's a spot that I can't pay that type of price tag for him in this matchup. The Yankees got a huge price increase. I said it again. Matt Carpenter, another lefty against Ross, $3,500. I think he's more of a tournament option tonight. Has shown quite a bit of power. Another BVP guy, David Wright, owns Aaron Harang, but I'm on the Mets anyway. Another one of my favorite stacks. I love him tonight. Danny Valencia continues to produce. $3,300 for him. Another 2 doubles last night. Multi-hits in 4 of his last 6. $3,300 against flyball prone Matt Shoemaker. A little bit of wind blowing out there too. I love that spot for him. And then some cheaper guys. Martin Prado, $2,900, mashing the ball against Manny Benuelos today, just fresh off the DL. So looking his way. Travis Shaw at that same price. And then Lonnie Chisenhall, I'm going to mention him again at $3K. And then the guy who just continues to be way too cheap, but you got to throw him out there, Todd Frazier, $2,600. He's in a fine spot. And $2,400 Evan Longoria, another one of your BVP guys, owns Chris Tillman here. Phenomenal numbers against him throughout his career. Shortstop options, very top-heavy if you ask me. Carlos Correa, your obvious top option, $3,900 against the lefty. Fresh off the DL, came in last night, 2 hits and a home run against the lefty. Now he gets a worse lefty tonight. Gotta like him. Tulo, $3,800 against Anderson, who I mentioned. Tulo has not been great, but we know the kind of upside he has, so he's certainly in play, especially at the Rogers Center tonight. Ian Desmond with home run upside against Gonzalez as well. But outside of that, I like Didi Gregorius as a tournament option. Jumped up a full $1,000, was men's salary a few days ago, up to 32. But, I mean, this guy's mashing. I think due to his price tag being jumped up, his ownership will be very low. So definitely looking his way. Asdrubal Cabrera, I keep mentioning him, $3,000. The guy just continues to hit. And then Eugenio Suarez, $2,500, homered last night. Now he gets Dan Herron. Got to like him. He's been showing a ton of power, more so against lefties, but he's a fine play against righties. And then your 3 cheap plays, Edina Heckler-Varia, been hitting lefties very well. Johnny Peralta and Marwin Gonzalez, the same cheap guys that we've been playing recently, but, Marwin and Peralta both with fine games last night. In good spots once again. Outfield options, Joey Bautista, most expensive guy. You got to like him. I'm not sure how much I'll be playing him at that price tag, though. You got some other guys in fine spots. Feldman facing off against Nelson Cruz. You know you love Cruz against the lefty, but Cruz is hitting at Minute Maid Park tonight for $4,400. I'm a big fan of that. Andrew McCutcheon, of course. Jimmy Nelson, much better against righties than lefties, but I'll still give him a look. Mike Trout, of course, at $4,400. He's in play for me as well. Love these Mets outfielders. Cespedes, Granderson. Cespedes, obviously the more expensive of the two, but I'm certainly looking at those guys quite a bit tonight. As I'm looking at the middle range options here, Mookie Betts continues to mash the ball. Gets a struggling Michael Pineda tonight, so he's the guy that's certainly in play for me. Jacoby Ellsbury is 11 for 17 off of Rick Porcello, $3,400 for him. He's in a fine spot as well. Gregory Polanco, I love. Probably my favorite cash game play in the mid-range there, $3,400 against Nelson and his struggles against lefties once again. Jason Worth, another guy that hits lefties well for the Nationals. A couple big games recently, so he's a guy who's starting to turn it on. Give him a look as well. As you're going down cheaper, Dexter Fowler at 31 still seems to be too cheap. A double and a homer last night. As we know, the guy just does it all. So you're certainly looking at his way. Mark Canha at $3,000. He's just mashing the ball still. Homer and 4 RBIs last night with that grand slam. So he's definitely a guy that has got some big-time upside. Not a household name. Not a guy that a lot of people will be looking at. So he's a guy that I've got on my radar as well. And then as we're looking down here for some cheaper guys, Carlos Gomez at $2,800. Still not hitting the ball particularly well, but a guy that I will give a hard look to tonight as well. Mark Trumbo just continues to mash the ball. Hit 2 home runs last night. Gets Feldman tonight. Feldman's been a fine pitcher against lefties and righties. Not great on either end, but solid. But definitely a guy that you can consider. Josh Reddick with some home run upside against Matt Shoemaker. He's had a couple big games in a row, so you got to give him a look as well. Jay Bruce only $2,500 at Wrigley against the fly ball pitcher. Sign me up for that one. No guarantee he's going to make contact, but if he does, that ball is going to go a long way. And then down here all the way at the bottom, there's not a whole lot. Grady Sizemore at $2,300 should be batting near the top of the order against Tillman. I don't think he's a bad option there. And then all the way down here at the bottom, Jason Bourgeois, $2,200. Guessing he'll be leading off against Dan Herron tonight, so I don't think that's bad. Then Steve Pearce at $2,200 against the lefty and Smiley. Definitely like him, as well as his teammate Adam Jones at $3,200. And that's going to wrap things up. Find us on Twitter at DF Cafe. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Check out all of our great content at dailyfantasycafe.com.